On the Edge of History presents Making Connections. Who would have thought that a simple conversation between an American and a Canadian would lead to a worldwide technological innovation? He, the American, was born in Salem, Massachusetts, the son of a livery stable owner. While growing up, he helped out with the horses, feeding, cleaning, and turning them out twice a day. He cleaned and organized the riding gear and buggy equipment for the profitable family business. He must have met many exhausted travelers who needed to rent a horse or locals who needed a place to keep their horses protected while they ran errands in the small town. Working with these difficult people probably helped him develop his good natured disposition. With the natural ability to soften any edge of an angry customer, he became a warm, jovial young man who specialized in keeping customers happy. With a good head for numbers at the age of 13, he took a job at an accounting firm, but found the desk work to be boring. He decided he wanted to work with his hands. Then he tried carpentry. But he found it tiring lifting heavy wood and working with cumbersome hand tools all day. He eventually found his calling working with electricity. He got a job as an apprentice electrical engineer at Charles Williams Machine Shop in Boston. At the time when electricity was just being harnessed by industry, he found himself on the leading edge of technology, working with innovators and inventors. He took their ideas and brought them to life. In these 19th century machine shops, there was no place for specialists, and so all 25 electricians at Williams' shops were multitaskers who tinkered and toiled away at multiple projects at a time. Each workman built everything in the shop, and as an apprentice, he also had a great variety of jobs, which kept him interested. The handheld tools were poor and simple, and the building process from start to finish required intensive thought to get a job done right. At the time, there were only a few electrical appliances, telegraph equipment, fire alarms, and call bells. Working with hand lathes or using simple vices and files, electrical engineers manufactured relays, sounders, registers, switchboards, galvanometers, and printing telegraph instruments. His promotion to higher work was rapid. Before 2 years had passed, he had tried his skill on all the regular work of the machine shop. And the people around him had a hand in some of the most interesting work going on in the country. They built designs for Thomas Edison and Elisha Gray, and many other talented inventors of the day. There was a constant stream of self-taught, wide-eyed inventors with big ideas in their heads and little money in their pockets. With his youthful enthusiasm and his sympathetic nature, Thomas Watson became a favorite workman for these men of visions. One day, while Watson was hard at work, he noticed a tall, slender man with a pale face, black side whiskers, and drooping mustache, big nose and high-sloping forehead crowned with bushy, jet-black hair, running towards him. Breaking with the standard policy of talking directly with the electrician, Alexander Graham Bell wanted to talk to Watson about alterations to his harmonic telegraph design, which would allow multiple messages to be sent through a single telegraph wire. While working together on the harmonic telegraph over 6 months, the two young men became close friends over the long hours they put in at the laboratory in the attic of Charles Williams' Boston workshop. Bell taught deaf students at the Horace Mann School for the Deaf during the day and then joined Watson at night for their experiments on the harmonic telegraph. Bell had plenty of vision for design, but often needed a more skilled person to bring a design to life. He admired Watson's ability to quietly and accurately translate his scribbled sketches and blotchy instructions into neat constructions. And at the same time, Watson liked his soft-spoken boss's attentive courtesy to everyone, and his clear, crisp articulation. He later said, "No finer influence than Mr. Bell ever came into my life." Although Watson often blamed his own lack of technical expertise on their repeated failures, it was actually a mistake that led to the discovery of the telephone. On June 2nd, 1875, while tightening a screw on a transmitter, Watson snapped the wire, which created a twang sound. Bell rushed into the room, told Watson not to touch anything, and repeat what he had just done. Watson simply plucked the slim strip of broken metal. "Keep plucking it," Bell snapped as he returned to the laboratory next door. Bell could hear that faint twang sound 60 feet away. They had found a way to transmit sound electrically. Bell and Watson worked late into the night, eventually sketching the first electric speaking telephone. And they dropped the harmonic telegraph immediately and instead focused their efforts on the telephone, building prototypes, eventually filing a patent on February 14th, 1876. On March 10th, 1876, the two men placed themselves in two different rooms in Bell's new lodgings. Bell started by talking into the transmitter. "Mr. Watson, come here. I want to see you." And once Watson rushed into the room, his face alight with joy, and exclaimed, "Mr. Bell, I heard every word." Watson had heard Bell's voice through the receiver. After the discovery of the telephone, Watson had no desire to work in the telephone business. He said, "The same desire for a larger life and new experiences was stronger than ever." And so, at the age of 27, he struck out on his own with money from his telegraph royalties. Watson started his own machine shop and then, years later, became a shipbuilder who employed over 400 workers at his factory in Boston. As a simple technician who made a connection with Alexander Graham Bell, Thomas Watson changed the telecommunications world forever. He lived an ordinary life before history gave him a supporting role in an extraordinary event.